What is up, Ladder Climbers? Antoine Wade here from Elevate to the Unknown, the Wade Report in NextGenHeights.com, and it is Friday, December the 19th, 2025, 7 a.m. Central, and we are live on the Daily Climb. Guys, it is Friday. What a fantastic week. Today, I got to tell you something about something that happened on yesterday that nobody is connecting. The stock market, it went up. Inflation went down. Jobs crushed expectations. That's the rare good news that we are experiencing these types of days. But at the exact same time, 400 steelworkers got their jobs saved because the president, our President Trump, made a phone call. 1,000 steelworkers, they lost their jobs because the president imposed a tariff. In Macy's, they announced that they are firing people on December the 28th, right after Christmas. I want you guys to type Christmas in the chat if that sounds pretty darn cruel, man. What's going on with Macy's? But here's what I need you to understand. Your job security is no longer about how good you are at your job. It's about whether your company has political leverage, whether your industry is in favor, whether the government that you are in and part of decides you matter. This is what I'm calling the pick and choose economy. Some workers, they get saved by deals. Some workers get crushed by policies. And you're sitting right there wondering, which side am I on? So today, in today's show, we're going to break down the rare good economic news. Then I'm going to show you the political economy that is taking over. Who gets saved? Who gets crushed? The holiday layoffs that's happening right now, the mortgage rates that have you trapped and can't move, the HR executive from that Coldplay Kiss Cam story, 5 months, she speaks out. We're going to be talking about that. She gave her first interview and she says this, virtually, she is unemployable at this point in time. And here's another thing we're going to learn. What you can actually do about all of this. There's going to be conversations about free certifications that's ending today, real job openings, and why you need to dedicate 4 hours every single week to learning, or you will become obsolete. If you are a ladder climber, you're already doing this. If you are a ladder climber trying to navigate this economy, this is your intelligence briefing for this Friday and for this weekend. I want you guys to type ready in the chat if you're locked in. Let's climb. Before we climb, let's see who was all in the house today. Many of you ladder climbers were up early this morning, man. I posted a video last night, and I saw many of you ladder climbers up early who watched the video. Brother Big Suggs was up making comments on the Patreon video. That was fantastic, man. He was up early in the morning. I thought I was the early riser. Big Suggs was up early this morning commenting on Patreon post. And that shows he's locked in. I was like 4 o'clock this morning or something like that. I was like, God dang, boy. I typically don't check emails early in the morning. I typically wait for a little bit to do that. But this morning, I was up at 2:30. Couldn't sleep. It was restless. So I started doing some work a little bit early. Let you know, check my email around 4 o'clock. I'm seeing Big Suggs commenting on a Patreon post. I was like, look at that, man. He is up early. I appreciate that. True ladder climber right there in the house. He said 4 a.m. every morning. I love that, guys. Get to see a Mark Louis. Get to see a Big Suggs. Get to see a Life of Cam. Get to see a Listen More, Talk Less. Guys, let's dive into our first segment. We're going to have a good show today. I feel good. Again, I'm taking this show relaxed. I'm in my holiday spirit. Of course, I'm not even in the button up like I typically wear. So let's have a fantastic show. All right. Let's jump into the first segment. All right. This is what we're going to be talking about. It's Friday, December the 19th, 2025. And I need to start with something that we need to talk about, but we don't get much of. Okay. Good news. Good news about our economy, because a lot of times I'm coming to you guys and telling you about the bad stuff that's happening, but there's good news that's happening to our economy as well. Let me give you the numbers. Yesterday, Thursday, December the 18th, the stock market broke a 4-day losing streak. Okay. S&P 500 up 0.79%. NASDAQ up 0.38%. The Dow up 0.14%. First green day in a week, guys. I want you guys to type finally in the chat if you've been waiting for some good news. Type finally in the chat. Okay? Inflation data came out. It came in way better than expected. And a semiconductor company that just proved the AI boom is real. We'll talk about them. Now let's start with the inflation first, all right? The consumer price index came out on Thursday morning. Economists were all looking forward to this data, and I was looking forward to it as well. And economists expected 3.1%. It came in at 2.7%. That's a big miss to the downside, which is good for us. Core CPI, 2.6%. Expected 3%. Lowest reading since July. I want you guys to type cooling in the chat if you're hoping that prices drop. When you have CPI winning like this, you're expecting inflation to continue to go down. It means prices are going to start going down on certain things. This is what we've been waiting for. We talked about yesterday how our dollar isn't stretching very far. That's why people aren't spending as much during Christmas. All right, the volume is not there. Well, this is the first time in months that we've had inflation news that's actually good. Energy is up 4.2%. Food is up 2.6%. Shelter is up 3%. But overall cooling, okay? Now, here's why this matters. The Federal Reserve, they have been fighting inflation for 2 years. They've been raising rates. They've been holding those rates to be very, very high, sucking up all the money from out of the economy, making it very expensive to borrow money, making mortgages expensive, making car loans expensive, making credit cards expensive. And they've been saying we can't cut rates until inflation cools. Well, guess what? It's cooling. This report, it boosts the odds that the Fed will cut rates in early 2026, which could mean mortgage rates come down, which could mean you can finally move for a better job, which means your company may be investing into their employees, which means you guys might be able to travel more. But we'll get to that and why that's not happening just yet, okay? But I want you guys to type mortgage in the chat if you are trapped. Maybe let's just say you want to move, but you are in a 3% mortgage rate. Mortgage rates right now are about 6%, I believe, 6.2 or something like that. You ain't moving. You ain't moving at all. I own rental properties, okay? And I've been sitting on those rental properties for a while. I haven't bought anything since 2022 or 2023. We haven't been able to leverage any of the equity that we have in those mortgage, in those rental properties, anything like that. It's because the mortgage rate has been high. Okay, could have pulled out some equity or whatever it is to buy another one. Did some rehabilitations on some. Couldn't do any of that. Mortgage rate's too high. All right. Now they're potentially will be coming down. This is going to impact a whole bunch of people. That's going to be good news. That means that you can potentially sell your house and get a mortgage that's going to be quite in line with what you're currently paying today. That's good news. That's the good news. Now let's talk about something else. The second piece of good news. All right. The December jobs report came out. We added 256,000 jobs. What? How is that even possible? We added 256,000 jobs. Economists expected 160. I don't know about that. Did we crush that estimate? I don't freaking know. We'll see. This is what they are expecting. Okay? This is the opposite of doom. All right? These numbers are relatively strong, but they're not evenly distributed. Healthcare is booming, 46,000 jobs. Big tech companies are still laying people off. Federal government, they just cut a whole bunch of people. Retail is hiring for the holidays, but they're going to be laying people off. So you have this split economy. Some sectors are crushing it. Some sectors are dying. Okay. Micron, let's talk about Micron. Micron, this is the third piece of good news here. Micron Technology. This is a semiconductor company. They make memory chips for AI data centers. They reported earnings after the market closed on Wednesday. Stock is up 11%. Here's why. Revenue, 13.64 billion. Expected 12 billion. All right? 12.84 billion. They beat by almost $1 billion. But the guidance is what blew everyone's mind. Next quarter, revenue is expected to be 18.7 billion. Analysts expected for it to be 14.2 billion. So that's a 30% beat on guidance. The CEO said this: there are more than sold out of high bandwidth memory for AI. That's what he said. Every chip that they make is already purchased. And they expected the market for these chips to hit $100 billion by 2028. So this proves that the AI infrastructure spending is real and it's not hype. Companies are spending billions on data centers and they need these memory chips to run the AI models. I want you guys to type AI boom in the chat if you believe it. Type AI boom in the chat if you believe it. Okay? So the stock market is up, inflation is down, jobs up. Sounds great, right? But let me show you what's happening underneath all this. Let me show you the economy where 400 workers, they got saved by a phone call. And 1,000 workers, they got crushed by a policy decision. The pick and choose economy. I want you guys to stay with me on this one, okay? Let's go to segment 2. This one's going to be a good one right here, man. Going to be a real good one right here. I had to come across this one, but I want to make sure that you guys understand the details behind this one. Big Sug says it's cooling. The Life of Cam says it's cooling. Life of Cam says, finally, we want some low mortgage rates. I believe you. I want some low mortgage rates as well. Life of Cam says, Big Sugs, man, that's millionaire behavior. True, you get up early in the morning like that. That is big time millionaire behavior right there. You ain't lying about that, man. Let's move on to segment 2. Give you guys some game on what's happening in the political environment. U.S. Steel. All right. I'm going to show you the economy where political deals determine job security. This is where it gets real. U.S. Steel. They are restarting a blast furnace in Granite City, Illinois, rehiring 400 workers in 2026. Great news for those 100 families that didn't have jobs before. Great news for those 100 families coming into 2026. All right? Absolutely. But here's the part that nobody's talking about. This happened because of a deal. A deal reached with President Trump. U.S. Steel wanted to be acquired by Nippon Steel. You guys remember this? They want to be acquired by Nippon Steel, a Japanese company. The Trump administration was blocking it. So U.S. Steel made a deal to restart the blast furnace, to rehire the workers, and we'll allow the acquisition. 400 jobs were saved. This is what happened. Matter of fact, let's go to the news video right here. I'll show you guys right now. Check this out.
Our top story fired up in Granite City.
Just ecstatic.
Tonight, exclusive reaction to the news hundreds of workers with a heart of steel have been waiting for.
To finally get some good news is really, really good for everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson. Mike Bush has the night off. Just hours ago, U.S. Steel announced plans to fire up one of 2 blast furnaces at its Granite City plant. Tonight, the mayor and the union presidents are talking only to 5 Minute Side's Laura Barczewski about this major development. Laura.
Well, Kelly, the silence is finally broken. For the first time in a dark 2 years, the blast furnace will be roaring again, a sight many steelworkers thought they'd never see. That glow means one thing for this community: hundreds of jobs are returning to the Metro East.
This is the beginning of the comeback story Granite City has been waiting for. This town was built by steel, but when the plant went cold, many thought the way of life here nearly died with it. Today, they were proven wrong. U.S. Steel announced Granite City Works will fire up one of its blast furnaces by next spring.
When I hired in '97, I was told, boy, what are you doing here? This place ain't gonna survive. And we're still here today after 2.5 years of wondering what the future is. For this day just to come out of nowhere, it's like unbelievable.
You got workers who've been at the steel plants for a very long time. They said that steel is going to die in the United States. Guess what our president said? Nah, man, we about to turn the steel economy and we're about to start manufacturing this steel back here in the United States. F all that importing from China and other countries and Canada. He says, you know what? We should be manufacturing steel here. Made a deal. Made a deal. U.S. Steel made a deal with the president. And guess what? It saved jobs. It saved a community. These people were happy. This man right here is ecstatic. He's pretty darn ecstatic. Let's listen to what else he got to say.
This comes after months of letters to the president, rallies, hard work by U.S. Steelworkers Local 1899, and pressure from Illinois politicians like Mayor Mike Parkinson.
I saw a community that was dying, and I felt like I was that fighter that could lead this city and hopefully resurrect something that wasn't going right. And when the steel mill started shuttering the doors, that was the biggest fight that I've had.
And they couldn't do it alone. Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski was right there with them, saying in a statement, quote, "It shows that advocacy and collective action make a difference. While this is good news for production on a temporary basis, we need more than short-term fixes. We need a long-range commitment and investment." Local 1899 President Craig McKee says they lost hundreds of workers after the last furnace shutdown, and they need to hire around 400 people to get it fired up again. Which doesn't happen with the flip of a switch either. It takes about 2 weeks for it to produce quality steel again.
It is a huge amount of work, not only to get the assets ready to go, but to get people shifted back to what they knew and get new people to learn what they need to do. Have faith in everybody here.
But the work.
Big Sug said it. Hard and risky work. Hard and risky work. It took a community to really call this out. And it took the president to back this up. Look at this. Hard work. This is the kind of work that I don't even want to do. That man looked like he was hardened. But that's the average American. These are the Americans that help build this economy. These are the Americans that help build the infrastructure. This is the raw material that helps to build the America. It is a beautiful thing to see this coming back to the United States in its form because of the political decisions that our leaders are choosing to make. This is the good side. We're going to be talking about some good things today. I love that this is happening. I love to see the common man. I love to see the everyday man working hard and it working for them, and political leaders are supporting that. I love it. I absolutely love that. This is when America is going to win. This is why America is going to win if we continue to do things like this versus outsourcing a whole bunch of this stuff. Beautiful job. Let's let it continue one more time.
Is a Christmas present nobody thought they'd be getting this year.
It's a huge deal for so many people, the whole community, the outlying communities.
I'm tired of driving down 203 and not seeing flames come out of those big smokestacks. So I think we'll welcome the smell of money in Granite City once again.
And Governor J.B. Pritzker said in a statement that the work is far from over and he's committed to the plant, saying, quote, "In Granite City, we'll keep fighting to ensure that the families who built this community have a future as bright as its past." They hope to have it up and running in early spring of next year.
I just drove through Granite City from St. Louis, right? And it's a city where you can definitely tell it once had its life. It doesn't have that life anymore, but it sounds like the life is going to be brought back there. When you see those smokestacks, you know that's money. And that means that if there is money, there's going to be people that's going to be coming. So point here is U.S. Steel made a deal to restart the blast furnace, to rehire the workers, and that's going to allow the acquisition of Nippon Steel, of U.S. Steel to Nippon. And basically what it did is it saved 400 jobs, all right? Because of a political deal, which is a beautiful thing, okay? This is what happens when you have leadership working together. This is what happens when you have leadership making phone calls and things turning out to be the right direction for that city and for the people that's in that city because of the manufacturing that's going on and there needing to be steel that's created here, okay? Now, let me show you what happened at the exact time. We're going to talk about something a little bit different, okay? Because you may not be on the side of the win sometimes. Guess what happened? I'll go steal, okay? A Canadian company. Guess what they're doing? They're laying off 1,000 workers, closing their blast furnace. And they explicitly said why. The reason why is the unprecedented 50% tariff imposed by the United States. 1,000 workers gone, losing their jobs because a U.S. tariff. I want you guys to type 1,000 in the chat. So let me make sure that you guys understand this. 400 American steel workers got saved because the president made a phone call and cut a deal, and 1,000 Canadian steel workers got crushed because the president imposed a tariff. Check the video out on Algo Steel.
It is a big blow for Canada's steel industry. Around 1,000 workers in Sault Ste. Marie have been handed pink slips at Algoma Steel as the company reels from Donald Trump's 50% tariffs.
The Prime Minister looked them in the eye and promised he would protect their jobs, that he would negotiate a win, and I quote, have a deal by July 21st, but it was a bait and switch that is costing people their livelihood.
My team and I have been in contact with Algoma's leadership team, and we will make sure that we support them as they're developing new products and also accessing new markets. We'll fight for these jobs, Mr. Speaker.
You guys see the other side of this? You guys see the other side? Right? The Canadian Prime Minister promised his people that they would cut a deal with the United States. Canada has been, at least from the news, they've been difficult to work with, as one would say, with the United States on certain things, right? So, of course, there was a tariff that was put on the steel that was coming from Canada to the United States. Guess who it impacts? It impacts the steel workers in Canada. They are getting crushed right now. Their company said, you know what? This tariff is here. Our leadership cannot make a deal with the United States. They're hitting us with a 50% tariff. Now we got to lay people off. So here's the thing. You don't know what side of this you're going to be on. You have no idea. Now, I'm not saying either decision is right or wrong. I'm just saying that your job security depends on political leverage, not market forces, not supply and demand, not how good you are at your job at times, but whether your company, your industry, your country has leverage with the administration. Now, think about that. Why did 400 steel workers in the United States get saved? Well, because the U.S. Steel, they had something the administration wanted. An acquisition deal, political optics, visibility, made in America, stamped. Why did 1,000 Canadian workers get crushed? Because Algo Steel had no leverage. They're on the other side of the tariff war. Their government is not playing fair with the United States. At least that's what the United States government is saying. When you have no leverage, you get the short end of the stick. And unfortunately, these people at Algo Steel, these 1,000, they're losing their jobs. Now they're blaming their political leaders. That's who they should be blaming. Now let's bring this home real quick. You guys heard about Verizon, them laying off the 15,000 a couple weeks ago. Did the president make a phone call to save those jobs? Nope. Amazon, they cut 14,000 corporate roles. Any deals to save them? Nope. 162,000 federal workers got cut by Doge. Any phone calls on them? Nope. That was the reason that these people got laid off. The reason was because a lot of these are private companies. They don't have any political connections. IBM, they laid off 27,000 to 2,700. Accenture laid off 11,000. Target laid off 1,800. Where were the deals? No deals. So if you're asking that question, why weren't there any deals? And what does it mean for you? Basically, here's the thing. Your administration and you are not tight, there's no leverage. Your job security is no longer just about performance. It's about the industries, they're about the relationships whichever and whoever has the power. Defense contractors, if you're in the defensive contracting space, you're safe, right? Energy companies, you're probably safe. Federal workers, you're probably the most vulnerable at this point in time. Tech companies, it depends on the week. Retail, you're on your own. And if you work in supply chain, that's exposed right now to tariffs right now too. You might be the next Algo Steel if you work in supply chain. It really depends, right? We're hearing about warehouse workers. We're hearing about transportation people. We're hearing about the 1,000 jobs gone because of a policy you had nothing to do with. This is what I mean by pick and choose economy. The government picks the winners and the losers, and it's not based on merit. It's based on deals, and it's based on leverage, and it's based on politics at times. So you're sitting right there trying to figure this whole thing out, and a winner or a loser is selected by the industry and by the political affiliation that they have. Now you have to ask yourself, do you have leverage or don't you? Is my company important enough to save, or are we expendable? This is the new reality and nobody's talking about it, okay? I want you guys to type reality in the chat if this is making sense to you. Some workers get saved by political deals. Some workers get crushed by political policies. Let me show you something even worse. Because companies that are waiting until after Christmas to fire you. That's what's happening. We're going to call this the dead week of layoffs, all right? I want you guys to stay with me, okay? Stay with me on this next segment. The dead week of layoffs. Before we even jump into this part of it, let's talk about the Patreon, all right? If you guys want to understand and learn how to navigate the political economy, how to position yourself when companies can fire you based on leverage instead of performance, all right, check out the Patreon. Every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Central, we go deep. We talk about strategy. We talk about positioning. We talk about things that you can do on the side to have your own personal leverage. We talk about how to read signals in the economy. We talk about what you can be doing to de-leverage, de-risk yourself in your current W-2 job. It's the things that I'm normally and naturally doing. Waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting prepared for the show. This show right here is risk aversion. This show right here is de-leverage from my W-2. And this also is a show that's helping me in the long term for my future. Okay? Whatever I decide to do in 10 years, I have a platform that I can reach people, which also means that that is a transaction that can be made. All right? So this is what we talk about in the Patreon. If you're interested in the Patreon, check out the Patreon, www.patreon.com/Black Heights, okay? Let's move on to segment 3, the dead week of layoffs. All right? Now I'm going to show you guys what companies are doing right before Christmas. Macy's. Some of you guys' favorite store. You go and buy furniture from Macy's. If you bought furniture from Macy's, put Macy's in the chat. If you bought clothes from Macy's, put Macy's in the chat. Well, they just confirmed that they're closing 66 stores and laying off workers at the distribution centers. 106 workers in Connecticut alone. But here's the part that is pretty cruel. The layoffs are effective December the 28th through January the 10th. Let me say that again. December the 28th, right after Christmas, before the New Year's. That's called the dead week. The week between Christmas and New Year's, when nobody's paying attention, when everyone is on vacation, when everybody's sitting around a table spending some time with their families, when the news cycle is dead. Companies love to dump the bad news during this week because nobody notices. I want you guys to type dead week in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Now, why companies do this? Number one, it hides the bad news. The media is slow. People are distracted. They're getting gifts. They're spending time with family. News gets buried. Number two, it makes, one, balance sheets look a lot clean. Fire people in December, start the new fiscal year clean. Number three, severance packages are structured around calendar years. So if they fire you in December the 28th instead of January 2nd, they might save on benefits. Number four, it's psychological warfare. You open your Christmas presents with your family, then 2 days later, meeting invite comes. You're done. This is corporate America. This is corporate America at times. I want you guys to type warfare if you see it. Target did this too. You remember what Target did? 1,800 corporate jobs gone. They mandated work from home for headquarters staff. Everyone thought that it was a perk. It was a prelude to layoffs. Work from home, then you're going to lay off. They didn't want you in the office when they cut you because they know that you was going to get upset and you was going to cause a ruckus and somebody was going to videotape it and it was going to be on TikTok. So they said, go ahead and work from home. I want you guys to type WFH in the chat if you're seeing this pattern. Now, let me show you something even more devastating, okay? Something even more devastating. You guys remember this. I covered this back this summer when it first happened. The HR executive, okay? The HR executive. This one right here. The Coldplay concert, the Kiss Cam, the one that went viral. I told you that this would destroy their careers, right? Andy Byron, Kristen Cabot. We had conversations about this summer. You guys remember that? It actually happened in the summertime when I was in Wisconsin and where I am right now, right? And I said this, I said, what was going to happen to these individuals? I said, give him 2 years, he'll find another job. I said, her, she's going to, she's not going to be put in a good position. And it was unfair. It was unfair. Well, she's speaking up now. She just gave her first interview 5 months later. And it's worse than I predicted. Kristen Cabot, former head of people at a tech company called Astronomer, she talked to the New York Times and the London Times. And here's what happened. Okay, I'm going to play the video of what happened during that interview that I want to share with you guys. Okay, give me 1 minute. Let me find it. Let me cue it up.
Look at these two.
It was the kiss cam moment seen around the world.
Oh, what?
HR executive Kristen Cabot and her boss, tech CEO Andy Byron, caught on the Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert, embracing, then leaping apart.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very sharp.
The video quickly going viral.
Oh, she choked!
Internet sleuths identifying the couple, both married at the time to other people, though separated. Now, for the first time, Kristen Cabot is speaking out, giving interviews to the New York Times and the Times of London, telling the latter, the scandal has been like a scarlet letter. People erased everything I'd accomplished in my life and achieved in my career.
Heard that? People erase everything that I achieved in my career. Scarlet letter. We said that, right? We said that it was going to be tough for her to be able to find any kind of employment at this time. The reason was because of the fact that she's in HR and she allowed this to happen. But let's let it continue real quick. I want you guys to hear everything else that was said.
She was incredibly open and honest with me.
Josie Ensor interviewed Cabot for the UK publication, learning more about the pair's relationship. Cabot says the co-workers connected over their similar marital issues at home. Cabot then inviting Byron to the concert when she had an extra ticket with friends. The caught-on-camera moment coming after drinking a few high-noon cocktails.
So this is what she tells me is the first physical embrace the two of them. I mean, this is like 3 seconds into the first physical contact they've ever had. And this camera pans round to them.
Byron did not respond to an NBC News request for comment. Cabot telling both publications she endured death threats.
Her address was doxed on the local radio, and she subsequently started getting people, telling her they knew where she lived and turning up at her gas station and things like that.
All of it frightening for her already traumatized children. My kids were afraid that I was going to die and they were going to die, she said. Astronomer, the pair's employer at the time of the scandal, hired celebrity Gwyneth Paltrow, once married to Coldplay's frontman, as a spokesperson for an ad in the days after.
Astronomer has gotten a lot of questions over the last few days.
Cabot telling Ensor she was once a fan of Paltrow and her women's wellness company Goop, which seemed to be about uplifting women. And then she did this. I thought, how dare she after the beating she got for all the conscious uncoupling stuff? What a hypocrite. Paltrow not responding to an NBC News request for comment. And finally sharing her side of the story, Cabot telling the New York Times, I want my kids to know that you can make mistakes and you can really screw up, but you don't have to be threatened to be killed for them. As for the scrutiny and publicity, Cabot telling Ensor she believes it's one-sided. I think as a woman, as women always do, I took the bulk of the abuse.
Valerie Castro joins us now in studio. So, Valerie, what is Kristen Cabot doing now?
So Cabot told the Times of London that initially the company that she had been working for at the time of this incident, they actually wanted her to come back after performing an internal investigation. But she said she didn't feel like she could come back as a human resources manager. So she says she has been looking for other work since, but has been told that she is unemployable.
You really feel terrible for her. How are her kids doing?
They
really feel like she's unemployable. Well, you got to think about that, guys. A couple things that was said in this video, okay? She and the former CEO confided in each other because of their relationship and the marital issues that they were having. Don't do it. I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Don't have those kind of conversations in your workplace. This is the first time, she says, that they actually touched themselves or got physical with each other. That didn't seem like a first time for me. That didn't seem like, from the video that I saw, that wasn't the first time. That was the first time that they got caught. That was the first time that they got caught. Right? You got to remember, they're working together just about every single day. She's the head of HR at a tech company. He's the big boss. You already know that that is just a no-no. I don't care what relationship issues that you're having at home. That is just a no-no. You're both at the executive leadership level. She invited him to a game. He decided he wanted to accompany her. They decided they wanted to have some high noon cocktails, drinking all day. Okay, next thing you know, they find themselves cuddling for the first time, and the camera just happened to find them cuddling for the first time. Yeah, that don't sound right to me. It doesn't sound right to me. It just doesn't. And we said this, right? I said this during that time. I said it was going to be very difficult for her to find a job because you got to think about it. She's in HR. A lot of HR is being automated today. A lot of HR is being scrutinized today, especially the recruiting process and so forth, and how candidates are feeling about being able to get jobs. HR is the organization that's supposed to, at least in my book, would hold themselves to a higher standard, but you're the head of HR and you're making the mistake with the leadership at the company that you work for, and you choose to do this in a public setting. Doesn't matter if you were, this is your first time. It doesn't matter. You are in HR. You are supposed to, you are literally terminating people for this happening inside your company at every single level. But yet you do it. And now you're saying that you're unemployable. Yes, people are going to tell you you're unemployable because you made a terrible mistake. A terrible mistake. This is not going to be anything that she can bounce back from in the short term. This is going to be something that she's going to have to bounce back. It's going to take some time, even for him as well, too. As a CEO of a company, it's going to have to take some time. Of course, she's going to look at it and say, you know what? The woman is going to take a brunt for it. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that is the case in situations like this. I don't know. But I will tell you this. I think it has a lot to do with her title and the trust that companies would put on her. I would not trust a person in HR that has been caught doing something with the CEO. I don't think a lot of people would do that. It's unforgivable. It's very, very much unforgivable. Maybe come back as something else outside of HR. But I think your HR card, in my opinion, has been revoked. Okay? Now, after this whole thing happened, she said that she received 500 to 600 phone calls every single day, 50 to 60 death threats. Now, that is something that is pretty terrible. So she had to install security cameras at her home. Police increased surveillance in her house. Her kids didn't want to go out in the public with her because they would be heckled. These are the decisions that your bad mistakes make, and it impacts everybody. Former colleagues won't speak to her. Of course, they're not going to speak to her because half of them looked at it and say, God dang, you probably fired this person or you talked to this person a certain way, yet you're doing the same exact thing, but even worse with the leaders of your company. And here's the kicker. She says this, virtually unemployable. Virtually unemployable. That's her exact words. It's been a scarlet letter. People erased everything that I accomplished in my life and career. Well, it's kind of true if you do something like that. Okay? 20 plus year career in HR. Senior role, successful, good track record. 5 seconds. Moment on the Jumbotron. She can't get hired anywhere. Now, here's the part that connects to the political economy. The board at her company asked her to stay. They wanted to keep her. She chose to leave because of the pressure. But now, 5 months later, she can't get hired. No political deal is going to save her and her job. No phone call from the president. No tariff adjustments. She made one big mistake that went super viral. At least she said it was one mistake. And her career is permanently destroyed, at least for the temporary time. Meanwhile, 400 steel workers, they got saved because of a phone call. That's a big difference right there. If you have leverage, you get saved. If you don't, one mistake and you are done. Zero margin. Zero margin here. That's a situation you can find yourself in when you make terrible mistakes like that, guys. I'm like, that's just a terrible mistake. Okay? I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's a pretty terrible mistake. Let's move on. Here's the immediate threat for a lot of you. Year-end performance reviews. Year-end performance reviews are happening right now. This week, next week. And some of you, you're going to get reviewed right before you get laid off during the dead week. So let me give you guys 7 tactics to survive your review. Business Insider just published an article this morning, and it's written by someone who's given hundreds of performance reviews. And she says this, in a market of layoffs, these differences matter more than ever. All right? Here are 7 things that strong employees do in order for them to have a good review. All right, I'm going to give you guys this. And I'm on the wrong slide here. Let me get to the right slide. I'm on the wrong slide. Oh, the wrong slide is going to have to stay up there. But number 1, get your mindset right. Let me do this real quick. Let me make a little quick adjustment and see if I can get the right slide here. There we go. Year in review. I got the right slide. Check it out. Look at that. Do it on the fly. Number 1, get your mindset right. Before you walk in your, Zoom call or office, if you're in the office, make sure your mindset is right. Don't rush into the meeting from another call. Take 15 minutes, calm down, organize your thoughts, show up composed, not defensive, not nervous. You have no idea what's going to be said in that year-end review. Number 2, do an honest self-assessment, they said. Don't just list your wins. Own your mistakes before your manager brings them up. Managers see through the highlight reel because I know many of you guys are you follow my brag book and you talk about the things that you've done right during the whole year. Number 3, use data to show your impact. Don't say I worked really hard. Say I increased this metric by 15%. Say I saved the company this amount of money. Say I delivered this amount in revenue. Right? Managers don't remember every single detail of your work, so make it easy for them to see your value by sharing exactly what impact that you've made. I want you guys to type data in the chat if this is something that you're going to do. Okay? Number 4, ask for specific support. Don't just say I need resources. Say I need earlier feedback on proposals. I need cross-functional backing on this project. I need exposure to decision makers in this area. Make your ask actionable. Number 5, state your career goals. This is a big thing that I tell you guys all the time. Say what you want to accomplish. If you want to go to President's Club, say you want to go to President's Club. If you want to be considered for a VP, say you want to be considered for a VP. If you want to be considered for a software engineer role, a senior software engineer role, a manager role, say what you want to accomplish. Don't assume your manager remembers what you want. Tell them again, tell them again, tell them again. Keep telling them. We talked about the McDonald's CEO says nobody is responsible for your career but you. Nobody cares about your career but you. You are the person that's responsible for it. So don't think that people are going to assume what you want because they have no idea. Neither do they care. So you have to market yourself. You have to share exactly what it is that you want and what you want to become and what you want to get out of the company. Tell them again, tell them again, tell them again. I want to lead larger projects. I want to move into management. I want to develop this skill. I want to make sure they know. That's the whole point. Number 6, do not get defensive about feedback. That's going to be something that you're going to have to get used to when you get feedback. Sit there, digest it, Even if you disagree with it, listen, ask clarifying questions, stay open, don't get defensive. Getting defensive signals that you're not ready for responsibility. I know coaching could be hard. I know sometimes when you get some bad news, it's hard to swallow. That's one thing if you're married and you get bad news, you haven't done something right, you know, it helps you to learn how to not be defensive. That's why married people, a lot of the times, they become leaders in companies. They become better managers, become better bosses, become better coaches because of the fact that a lot of the stuff that you deal with in the workplace, you deal with your own marriage as well, too. Getting defensive with your wife, getting defensive with your husband because they give you some critical feedback, it's not the right thing to do sometimes, okay? Show that you are coachable so that you are able to learn. All right? So number 7, schedule a follow-up. Do it in 30 to 60 days. This basically proves that you're serious about the development that you're getting. It keeps you on top of mind with the leadership. If you're asking for a promotion, it keeps you top of mind for that discussion to happen again. Continue to follow up. And some of you guys have managers that don't do their job on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and checking in with you. So make sure that you schedule that with them. Make sure that you're giving them the highlight reel. Make sure you're telling them what's going on. Keep them in the know. Okay? Some of you, you're getting your year-end reviews this week. And then some of you are getting laid off during the dead week. The review is a formality. The decision has already been made. But if you do these 7 things, you can maximize your chance of surviving the company layoffs if your company is going to be laying people off during the dead week. Because basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be showing data that you're indispensable. And if you do get laid off, you have a clear record of your accomplishments. Okay? You're ready to go to your next interview. Go ahead and get it done. Go ahead and get it done. Now let's move on. Let's move on to the next segment, guys. Move on to segment 4 here. I came across another article this morning about the housing market. Let me get there. Let me get to that one. Okay. This one is going to help some of you guys for sure. I'm going to show you the trap that even if you survive everything, you still can't escape it. Mortgage rates. All right. Mortgage rates. We talked about this a little bit earlier. 6.2%. That's the average 30-year fixed rate right now. Now, most of you guys are probably locked into a 3.4%. I got a 2.9% on one of my properties, right? But back in 2020 and 2021, you were able to lock in very, very low interest rates, which means that you cannot afford to move. Even if there's a better job opportunity in another city, even if your industry is dying where you live, even if you need to relocate for your career, you can't, because if you sell your house right now, you got to buy a new one. You're going from a 3% mortgage potentially to a 6.2% mortgage. Your monthly payment could be potentially doubled, right? Just for the same house. Just for the same house. So a lot of people are trapped because of their mortgage. They're stuck. And it's been said that this is a huge career implication. This has huge career implications. You can't relocate for better opportunities. You're stuck in a dying industry or a dying city. You can't follow jobs. So geographic mobility is being destroyed with these high interest rates. So remote work becomes even more critical and upskilling becomes mandatory. Because if you can't move physically, you have to evolve where you basically are. So you have to upskill. All right, you have to upskill. I came across this article on a Visa executive this morning, and I think this shares, how some people are choosing to get ahead. Business Insider talked about this Visa executive. He's a global vice president of Visa. He's responsible for business in over 200 countries, and he has one non-negotiable habit, he says. 4 hours every single week, he is dedicated to learning. 4 hours every single week, he is dedicated to learning. So he blocks off his calendar Usually Friday morning, 5:30 a.m., when he feels his freshest, okay? And nobody can touch that time. He studies topics genuinely that he cannot understand. Past topics include the history of semiconductors, the technology of stable coins. So that's, blockchain, how important companies pivoted, critical moments, advanced math problems. So he spends about 4 hours until he can sit in front of anyone in the world and talk about it. That's what he basically does. I want you guys to type 4 hours in the chat. And here's what he said. He said this: the skills that make people successful today will be obsolete in the next 3 to 5 years. So developing adaptability, developing cultural habits, developing a culture of learning is critical. He says it is a necessity. Otherwise, you're just not going to be that relevant. So, I thought this was a good article that I wanted to share with you guys. Some people are trapped by 6.2% mortgages and you can't move to a better city. You can't chase jobs. So you have one option. Your option right now is to evolve where you are. Spend 4 hours a week at a minimum. Learn something new. Get certifications. Build skills that make you indispensable. I'll tell you this. If you guys watch the Daily Climb Show, Monday through Friday, shit, that's your 4 hours a week. That's your 4 hours a week. You're learning something. You're hearing something that we talk about on this show, and it's something that you can leverage to have conversations with other people, or at least do some more research on. And guess what? You got the access to the newsletter where you can read a little bit more. That's what also you have access to. You have access to the newsletter. So if you're spending time listening to shows like this, you're getting 4 hours of study every single week. Matter of fact, it's 5 hours because we do the show just about an hour every single day. And if you're listening in, whether you're, driving or you're, in a sauna like my man Ant Dog is, or you're in the gym, you're getting your 4 hours or 5 hours in. If you want to survive the pick and choose economy, where political deals determine your job security, where one viral moment can destroy your career, where a dead week of layoffs are coming, you must constantly be upskilling. You must constantly be improving your mind into learning new things. 4 hours a week, that's a minimum every single week, or you will become obsolete. Now, you're listening to this show. You're getting your learn on. You're able to have these conversations. But here's another piece that you need to do. You need to be executing on some of these actions. You have to be executing on some of these actions. We talk about AI a lot. You got to be using it. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. This stuff is going to come in your ear and it's going to go right out. You can have a conversation about it for a day. The next thing it's going to be gone. So you have to practice what it is that you're hearing. You have to practice what it is that you're learning. The guy said he spends 4 hours a week. Then he gets in front of people and have those kind of conversations. That's how you learn. Okay. Some of the topics are semiconductors, history, stablecoin, technology, company pivots. Those are all things that he says he is learning, and he spits it back out to people, which is also why I share this with you all. Create content behind what you're learning. Create content behind it, because that's going to reinforce it. You can share it with the world. Okay. Let me show you the disconnect. Consumer sentiment. The University of Michigan just released their data. Consumer sentiment is up slightly, 53.3. Headlines say it's improving. You guys know what consumer sentiment is? It's basically how people are saying things are going. University of Michigan just released their data and said consumer sentiment is up, 53.3. Okay? Headline says it's improving. But here's what they don't tell you. It's 28% lower than it was last year. That's 28%. So yes, it did tick up this month, but people feel way worse than they did a year ago because of prices. They haven't dropped fast enough. And inflation, it is cooling, but prices are still permanent. They haven't felt it in their pocket yet. Your rent didn't go down. Your groceries didn't get cheaper. Your car payment didn't shrink. Inflation, measures the rate of increase, but not the actual price level. So when headlines say sentiment is improving and you feel worse, you're not crazy. The data is measuring something completely different than what you feel. All right. Many of you guys are trapped by mortgages, trapped by, whatever it is, and you're threatened by layoffs. That goes into that sentiment. All right. So last year, last year at the same time, people said it was better. It is increasing from what it was in November and October, but it's way off than what it was last year. All right. And of course, people are going to blame the political leaders on that. But hey, you got to remember, this president was just in there for 1 year. Sometimes you got to burn things down in order for it to get better. All right. Let's move on to this next one. Let's talk about jobs. Okay. Before we even talk about jobs, if you're getting value from this show, it's value from this live stream this morning, make sure you hit the like button. Not only that, if you want this information into your inbox at 11:30 a.m. Central, a full recap of the show, every chart, every data point, every opportunity that we talk about, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video for the free newsletter that I send out Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. Central in your inbox. Okay. We have over 1,000 newsletter subscribers. That number continues to grow every single day that we have this show. We have a 38% open rate. That means people are actually reading the darn thing. That's very good. Most newsletters get like a 14% open rate. We got a 38% open rate. Guys, this is your CNBC for careers. This is your Bloomberg for your career. 7 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, workforce intelligence in your inbox, not emotional reactions. This is the Daily Climb. Let's move on to opportunities now, okay? Hebron, Kentucky. Who said they're from Hebron, Kentucky? I've been to Hebron, Kentucky. Oh, yeah, I was in AWG warehouse in Hebron, Kentucky. Was it Hebron, Kentucky, or was it Levi Strauss? That was Levi Strauss that was in Hebron, Kentucky. That's where I did a warehouse implementation. But anyway, I'm going to show you who's still hiring and what you should do about real job openings. We got some e-commerce fulfillment companies called Stored, right? They just announced a $40 million investment in Hebron, Kentucky. Okay. 500 jobs over the next 5 years. Entry level through senior leadership, warehouse operations, supply chain management. It was Levi Strauss. That's what it was. It was Levi Strauss. That's in Hebron, Kentucky. I was like, man, Hebron. A lot of distribution centers in Hebron. Okay. This is an expansion. This is not a replacement. So people who are looking to get into the warehouse work, you can check that out. Healthcare, that still is crushing. You got 46,000 jobs being added in the month of December. You got nursing, you got physicians, you got healthcare. You got health therapy, you got home health, all of that. They're still hiring in the healthcare market. Okay. Tech, 20 companies hiring for IT channel roles. Right now, you got sales partnership solution consultants, salary starting at $110,000, going up to $195,000 for director level positions. All right. There are some tech companies that's doing that. A lot of managed service providers and so forth that's hiring people right now. Matter of fact, Microsoft is hiring people right now. You got Salesforce hiring a whole bunch of people right now. So check out those websites if you're interested into new jobs. Let's talk about certifications now. Okay. Pre-certifications. This is critical. 30% off all courses. You got code edX04. Okay. They have a free course that's out there, 30% off on some of their courses as well, too. That's ending today, December the 19th. This is your last chance. All right. You got Microsoft free exam retake if you schedule between now and December the 31st. Okay. You got Oracle NetSuite. They got free certifications through December the 31st. What else you got? You got Salesforce AI Associate and AI Specialist certifications completely free through December the 31st, 2025. You got AWS. They are still offering 50% off exam vouchers if you pass any AWS exam, valid for 3 years. Okay. All these resources out there, a lot of them are free. Let's talk about skill-based hiring. 85% of employers are using it now, up from 60 or 56% in 2022. So 25% are eliminating bachelor's degree requirements by the end of this year. That's a lot of companies that's doing that. You don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree. A lot of people always say, Antoine, do I need a bachelor's degree to make this transition into tech or some of these other fields? No, you don't. Companies are eliminating them. You see the data right here. Okay. 94% of employers say skill-based hiring outperforms degree-based hiring. Certifications. Okay. Learning how to do things. Studying and educating yourself. This is huge. This gives you the opportunity. You don't have to have a degree these days. The degree is just a certification or certificate that basically shows that you have been committed to a university and you are in debt. That's all it shows now. Okay. You can get certifications from Google, Coursera, wherever you need to get certifications from. That's going to help you land a job a lot better than a degree will. You're not locked into a degree anymore. You're not locked out because of a degree. Get your certifications, build a portfolio, show your skills. Companies care more about what you can do than what school that you went to. This is the biggest shift in hiring in, 50 plus years. And it's happening right now, guys. So it's pretty remarkable time because skill-based hiring is exploding. And this is your time to get in. Yeah. Check out the Patreon. If you like the video, make sure you hit like on the video. Share it with somebody that needs to hear this. Share it with your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your grandma, your husband. Share it with somebody who you think can get value from this video. It is Friday. It is Friday, guys. I got a jam-packed day today. The sun is shining. It's cold outside. It's about -6. -6 on the windshield. Guess what we found out yesterday? The stock market rebounded. Inflation cooled. Jobs crushed expectations. U.S. Steel, it saved 400 jobs via a political deal. Argo Steel, a Canadian company, they killed 1,000 jobs because of tariffs. Those Canadians, they aren't happy right now with their government. They aren't happy. Macy's are going to be firing people December the 28th after Christmas. It's not good, man. Coldplay HR executive said unemployable after 5 months later. Said it's the scarlet letter. Mortgages trap you. Most people got in at a 3.2%. Now they're 6.2%. That's doubled. Year-end reviews are coming up, and it's happening right now. Some before the dead week of layoffs. Some people are going to get laid off during the dead week. You got free certifications that's ending today. You guys have a good understanding of what those are. As I mentioned, this is the pick and choose economy. Political deals determine who gets saved. Your skills determine if you survive. We are at that point in time in the U.S. right now where it's zero margin for error. You got to spend at least 4 hours a week. If this VP of Visa is spending 4 hours a week to get ahead, to get educated, and to stay abreast on new things, you got to be doing the same thing, man. You got to be spending more. Spend your weekends. Start grinding it out. Start building stuff for yourself. Start building stuff so that you can take to your company and be, get to the bag. Choose intelligence over emotion. Guys, this is the Daily Climb. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Have a positive Friday. Have a crush your day Friday. I enjoyed the show today, being a little bit more relaxed, not being in the studio. Wayne says, had the best weekend ever, man. Stay positive. Absolutely. You guys have a great weekend. We will see you guys on Monday. I appreciate you guys. Jason says, Antoine has that veteran experience, man. I believe me, I've seen a lot of things. Jason. And I continue to see things. I continue to see it. Ant Dog said, the sauna was down this morning. I was sick. Haha, but I got an amazing back workout in prior. I like it, man. That's the thing. You got ladder climbers that say, I'm not going to let anything stop me from getting the stuff done that I need to get done. I got my man, Ant Dog, getting up early in the morning, still going to get his workouts done no matter what. My man, Big Suggs, crushing it. My man, Cam, crushing it. Ladder climbers just make it happen. That's what we do. Enjoy your Friday, guys. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Take care now. Bye-bye.